Hello and welcome back to a very wonderful, very lovely day where today we're going to be reviewing yet another book. Today's book of choice is called Unraveller by Frances Hardinge. I'm really sorry, I'm really bad at pronouncing names. I do apologise, Frances, if I pronounce that incorrectly. Anyway, this book is a very wonderful surprise for a book that I got. It was a very wonderful surprise Christmas present from my mum. I had sent out for Christmas a whole list of books I'd seen previously, was very interested in reading, and she had gone into the shop to try and find some of these books, and unfortunately she couldn't find any. However, fortunately, she spoke to a very wonderful person working at the shop who recommended Unraveller because of it being one of their favourite reads throughout 2022. So, because of that, my mum found this very wonderful book. Now, the first thing we're going to go over, as per usual, is the way the book looks. The book cover is absolutely beautiful. It's so well done. The title is really curious and really interesting. As you can see, it's a bit of a cobweb kind of thing with various different shapes and icons on the cover. And that really intrigued me. I didn't quite know what that was going to mean, what this was going to entail. And cobwebs kind of suggest to me spiders. And spiders are not something I'm massively a big fan of. Yet reading this book, I did not feel intimidated by them in the way that I normally would with kind of a spider-like creature. Besides that, as I opened this book as a Christmas gift, one of the first things I did notice besides the cover is the very beautiful blue tinge to the edges of the pages. And my gosh, that's a beautiful addition. I love it when books do this. It makes them look really pretty. It gives them a whole other kind of magical essence and feel to them, and I freaking love it. Now, going with the fact that obviously this is a very blue book with the pages being tinted blue and jacket being blue. Not only that, but the hardcover itself is blue. And following that, you've got these very wonderful golden etched foil kind of symbols along the spine of the book. And this was just absolutely beautiful. I love the way it was done. I love the colours, and after reading the book, I kind of love even more how much these kind of imply and suggest within the book. It was a really nice touch, and I really did love it. Getting into the actual book itself, now, I really enjoy reading. I've really struggled to get back into reading recently, which is why 2023 is a year I'm trying to get myself back into reading properly. After my 3 years at uni, and then after that with lockdown and everything, I just couldn't find enjoyment in it. There were an odd book here or there. However, Unraveller has blown my expectations out of water, having had it suggested by my mum from someone that works at a bookshop. I was intrigued, first of all, to say the least. It seemed like a really interesting book. The concept sounded really interesting, which, if we read the quick little synopsis blurb on the back, you can't cure a curse. You have to unravel it. You have to find the reasons that wove it and work out how to pull the threads loose. And I think that just sounds so magical, so intriguing. You already know there's curses. There's something to do about undoing the curses, and it's called unraveling. And that just kind of ties in very swiftly, very nicely with the book itself. Now, we're going to dive in and talk about some of the characters within this book. And this book follows two main protagonists called Kellen and Nettle. These two could not be the polar opposite of each other any more than they already are. And it's such a nice contrast and interesting thing to see throughout this book. I thoroughly loved reading the book and seeing both of their perspectives, figuring out what was kind of going on, and growing and learning with them, seeing their frustrations. You really, through Frances's writing, get a connection with these characters that is truly phenomenal and magical. You sit there and feel like you are right there with them on this journey. You feel like you can feel their frustrations, you can feel their cautions, you can feel their worries and the angst of everything that is going on throughout the whole time. And it works wonderfully well. Now, as I said, there are the two main protagonists, which is Kellen and Nettle. Firstly, Kellen, he is a young lad who I think is about 17 within this book, maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger, and he is known as the Unraveller. He is the one who has this ability to unravel curses. Now, won't go into too much detail for spoilers of the story itself, but this is a really unique talent, and he very much does it really well. And what works really, really well here is he is very much one of these people that will find an idea, grab it, hold on to it, and be ready to just dive in. Whereas Nettle's a bit more withdrawn. She's this kind of sullen, quiet character who's a bit more cautious, a bit more, well, look at the other side of it. Like, yes, you've got this plan, but what if X, Y, Z is to fall apart? And that contrast works so, so beautifully well. Throughout the whole story, you can see them raging this kind of balance of, they're almost a yin and yang to each other, where you've got Kellen rushing forward, going to dive into absolutely everything frantically, not having thought a full plan out, and then you've got Nettle, who's kind of like, yes, but what about this? What about that? And it works really, really well. I love both of these characters. They were absolutely wonderfully written. I got really, really attached to Nettle, and my god, my heart went to weep towards the end of this book with so many of the things that kind of happen and unfold. And it was truly, truly a surprise. I wasn't expecting half the things you actually found within this book. As for Frances's writing style itself, it is a beautiful, beautiful writing style. She has created within this whole book a beautifully elegant world that seems really well thought out, really well plotted and considered. Having read this book, I do believe it is a standalone. However, I would absolutely love for there to be another book, another 2, 3 books within this world itself. Whether that be in the world as a prequel, whether it be in the world as a sequel, or just another standalone novel itself, I don't know. I feel like it could be absolutely phenomenal. There is so much unexplored within this world. She has created somewhere that is both magical and yet almost real life like. She has created this place that is just so enticing, so captivating, that you want to learn more about it. So in this world, we have got an area called the Wilds. The Wilds is kind of known as your dark, dangerous area. Think of that area that when you were younger, you were told you're not meant to go into. There's creatures in there. It could be full of wolves. It could be where you get lost. It could be the Hansel and Gretel kind of story. You go into the woods and you never return. That is the Wilds. And then you've got a world that is kind of supported, or governmental system is all based on trading. They're called the Chantry, and it's basically, as the story unfolds, a secret war comes to light between various different teams within the playing field. And again, I won't go too much into detail on this because the story and the way it's written and the way it unfolds is just absolutely brilliant. It's as if you're on the adventure, as I said. It's as if you're going to sit there, go out and read this book, and you're hooked, you're ready, you wanting to join in, you wanting to get involved, and then it's like, bam, here's the actual story of what's going to be happening and unfolding, and you're like, well, I didn't see that one coming. She does it so, so well, elegantly. But with the wilds and with the creatures and things she has created, there is so much lore and background to it that I feel like she could do another whole book. And if she did about these backgrounds and these creatures, I would absolutely love it. As to more with her actual writing style and writing technique itself, she very much does the same thing that seems to be becoming quite popular within books nowadays, where each chapter is very much swapped between one character to the other character. So you will start off with a chapter that you're reading and it is from Kennan's perspective. Then you switch to the next chapter and it is from Nettle's perspective. Now, this is something that, when done, can be a really, really wonderful thing, but can also face a lot of challenges. I've seen it with, for example, Game of Thrones, or I've seen it with the Priory of the Orange Tree. Basically, when these people have done it with their books, their characters that you suddenly jump to are completely different ends of the world, or completely different points in the story, and it can make it a little bit hard and disorientating to follow. However, within this book of the Unraveller, it's very much easier to follow. What happens is you have the one chapter of, say, Kellen, and then you have the other chapter of, say, Nettle, and it's more, the story progresses in each chapter at a linear stage. It's all the same kind of point in the story, but what's really, really nice is you're seeing the other person's perspective. You're seeing what they're suddenly thinking about what's going on compared to what the other character just thought of what happened. And I feel that's a really, really interesting way to do it. It's not that you're sitting there and just giving us two different characters that are at wit's end and don't know what's going on and are a bit lost and confused and dazed with everything. No, you're sitting there understanding the feelings, the emotions, what's driving these characters and what's making them feel the way they are, and they're responding to each other in the way that they are without making it too complicated. This really helped enhance the story, in my opinion, as well, because you are reading this book, getting to see both perspectives, and it's not just you're focused down on the one main character who you're following the whole time. You feel this book is perfectly evenly split between these two characters. I do have to admit that some of the splitting of where characters are and things like that does start to happen at a certain point within the book. However, it only felt natural. It felt like a good progression of the story, and it worked still absolutely beautifully. It wasn't, again, a meddling mess of characters X, Y, Z, and you're not too sure what's going on, where they are, how it's all going to link together. It worked beautifully. Another really, really fun and interesting point for this book is that the chapter titles, Francis has managed to sit there and create these beautifully enchanting and capturing chapter titles. It's not just chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. It's like chapter title names. And when this is done, I flipping love it personally. It's a really, really good way to kind of either start guessing about what you're about to read about or hook you. There is this chapter title, you sit there, it captures your attention. You're like, wow, what could this be? What can this mean? Who is this? What is this? And it just draws you in that more. It makes you want to dive in and continue reading the book. Makes you want to pick it up, flip through the pages, and just keep going. And for me, that's a really, really interesting way to keep capturing the audience and keep people captivated within this book. I absolutely loved the way it was done. Not only that, the chapters also were quite short, which was really, really nice. It meant if you aren't necessarily a fast-paced reader, or if, again, this is a book you want to read with your kids during bedtime, or if you're wanting to read it on the bus journey to work or home or to wherever you're going, it is a perfect book for that. I'd say each chapter no more than maybe 8-9 pages, might be a bit more depending on the chapter. Some of them are shorter, some of them are longer, and it does work so well for just allowing it to be such a carefree, easy read for as you divide into it. Overall, this book, I would definitely be rating it a 5 out of 5. This is probably one of my favourite books I've read in a long time. The only one prior to this would probably be The Priory of the Orange Tree, which was, again, one of my favourite books as well. This book has really, really interesting characters who you definitely will very attached to. It has so many twists and turns with the story that I freaking absolutely love. It also has some good kind of little bits of romance in it, but the romance isn't necessarily forced, which for me is something is so crucial nowadays. So many books you will sit there and read, and there is just a romance chucked in front of you, and you just have to read it up and soak it up. This didn't have that. Besides that, there is a wonderful storytelling within the book of a world that is so magical yet dangerous, and so mystical and fantastical that you want to know more about. I would very much love it if Francis did more books within these series or within this world. I would love to explore it more, explore it further, and to see what other things and creatures we might come across. But either way, I absolutely love this book. If you haven't, or if you are looking for another read, I highly recommend The Unraveller by Francis Hardinge. Wonderful book, absolutely beautiful, and I can't even put into words how much I enjoy this book. So guys, hopefully you do go and check this book out. If you do, let me know in the comments what you think. If you've read it already, again, let me know what your thoughts and opinions were of this book. If you are interested in me reading or my thoughts of another book, please drop it down in the comments below. Let me know. If I've read it, I'll give you some comments back. If I haven't, maybe I'll add it to my to be read list, and we'll try and get some more books done. But until then, guys, stay safe, stay well, and stay in magical selves. All the best. Bye.